Lucia, how are you doing?
Hi, Carlos. How are you? I'm fine. Actually, I wanted to tell you that I was trying to schedule my call and didn't
Okay,
let me. Didn't
okay,
let me. It tell me. Let me take a picture to show you.
okay. Please.
Says esta página está disponible solo para suscriptores. I don't know
Yes.
if you
Mm-hmm.
can see.
Yeah, yeah. I, I
Yeah.
I I know your problem. I know your problem. Don't worry. It has happened as well with other students in the past, and it's because the coordinator needs to approve your account. But don't worry, I'm gonna do it right
Okay.
now. I'm gonna tell her that um, you have been trying
Yeah, it's
to
because I
enter.
realized that I had to
Mhm.
create an account. So I
Yes.
did it in that moment. So I just did
Mhm.
it now.
Yes. Yeah. It's probably because of that, but don't
So
worry.
we can have our call tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Of
gonna
course.
try it again
Mhm.
after our classes.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Mhm. Yeah. I mean, I'm gonna tell her. Don't worry. Here it is. Okay. Wonderful. Let's read.
okay, thank you.
We talked in Spanish. So I'm gonna write for her
Okay,
in Spanish. Super.
super. Yeah, and I was like, "Mm, I'm gonna tell him because I know that I am the first one getting to the classes always, so we have this time to chat a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. It's a pleasure to do it. Actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Could you please send me that picture, dear Lucia,
Okay. To
to the
your
WhatsApp group?
mm,
Yeah, I mean to the
private
WhatsApp group
chat,
or
right?
to yeah, however you prefer. It's fine.
Okay.
What is your complete name? It's Lucia and your last name?
Lucia Daza.
That's with a Z, right?
Yes.
Wonderful.
D-A-Z-A.
Right, wonderful. Um,
Maybe I should send you also my email to she can recognize my email or account or something.
yeah, it will be fine if you want, please. It will be very good.
Okay.
Um,
And I'm gonna take this time and
okay. It's all right here. Okay. Two.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had to do that this week, and thanks for the reminder on the chat.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Don't worry, it's fine. It's very good for me to have those personal calls because by doing so, we have the opportunity to polish your speaking part a lot because it's just one to one. So we have a lot of time to discuss and to comment
Yeah,
on the response. You know that is going to be
and
super helpful.
more personal.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
because I don't have the chance to create new words like proponing
Yes, yes,
like
exactly.
the other time. So it's super. Hi Sergio, how are you?
Hi, good evening, Lucia, Carlos.
Good evening, Sergio. It's a pleasure to see you. Okay, wonderful. There you are. I think that she works. I think well, she starts working at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. So I think that is probably she's going to be able
Ah,
to help you quickly. Not today because she's
okay.
not working right now, but tomorrow I think that she's going to be responding very
Tomorrow.
quickly. Okay.
Yeah, she can tell me and she can and I can I think that tomorrow we can do it. The calls.
Yes. Yeah,
It's gonna
certainly.
be
Don't worry.
fun.
Thank you very much, Lucia. Okay. Thank you for telling me.
Super. Thank you. Yes. Thank you for
Okay.
remind us the calls. The call thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's part of the classes, so it's essential for you to practice that. Okay.
Yes.
So let's start. Okay, let's start with
Okay.
today's class. Thank you very much for joining me, dear students. It's a pleasure to start this new class tonight. And as I told you yesterday, what our schedule says for today is that we have to practice, okay, for the third task of the speaking section. And in order to do that, we're going to follow the same mechanism that we have been using the last weeks. And that is to say, we're going to receive the materials through our simulator, and then one by one, you're going to respond to the questions, and then I'm going to try to offer you some feedback so you can improve some areas of your responses, in which, of course, it is always possible to perfect it, right? So let's start. Okay, let's start with today's class. All right, let's go. So I hope that you have been practicing with the links that I sent yesterday to the WhatsApp group. You know, the where is it? Here it is. Let me see. Yeah, this link, right, to the sciencedaily.com. Very, very important link. I hope that you're practicing in your free time, reading some articles on science. Always a very interesting activity, especially for you to practice and improve your academic English, right? Well, let's go. The first topic for today is going to be altruism in animals. Okay, this is going to be, I think, about biology, probably, altruism in animals, or philosophy, I don't know. But let me paste it in the chat box, okay, so you can have it more comfortably. And please serve yourself of this 45 seconds in order to read this passage, okay? So please start reading now. Okay, the 45 seconds are over. Now, please let us listen together to a class on the same topic, okay? Let's go.
Now listen to part of a lecture on the topic you've just read about.
The idea that altruism is a uniquely human characteristic that cannot be found in nature might be popular among certain philosophers, but it really has little basis in fact. Actually, altruism is relatively common in the animal kingdom. Well, for example, in certain families of squirrels, when a predator, say like a fox, comes around, the squirrels are known to shriek out to warn their family members about the danger, even if the noise makes them targets for the predator. Similarly, when a herd of, say, wildebeests is attacked, well, stronger members of the pack will try to trample the threat rather than let the young and weak get picked off, even if this subjects them to danger. So what is the reason for all of this? Evolutionarily speaking, it seems like a puzzle, right? I mean, why would evolution favor the development of altruistic behaviors that might endanger individual life? The answer is it's a bit complicated, but essentially the answer is that by protecting the entire community, including several relatives, the altruistic animal ensures that the community's genes as a whole can still be passed on. Well, in other words, if a single squirrel dies after, say, shrieking at a fox, but the entire community is spared, well, that means that from a collective perspective, the community's fitness is increased by having altruistic behaviors associated with its members.
Using the points and examples given in the lecture, explain how altruism may be a beneficial characteristic for some animals.
Okay, there we are. Wonderful. So please, now students, serve yourself of this 30 seconds for you to prepare a response. And try to always, as I told you, follow the structure that I have recommended you. Of course, let me show it to you again. It's not that necessary to follow the wording of my structure exactly. You can change it if you consider that maybe something is more comfortable for you. One phrase it's a little bit problematic for you, maybe, of course, change it. But the idea is that summary of the reading passage and summary of the listening item, including always the main points made in the lecture, it's super important and crucial for you to apply it and to include it in your response of 1 minute, okay? But of course, please feel free to change anything with regard to the wording, but the structure, please, I recommend you to follow it, okay? But let's go. Please start responding, well, not responding, preparing your response for this question now. Okay, there we are. So please, dear students, start now delivering your responses, but nonetheless, we have to choose who is going to be the student who is going to initiate this round of responses. So please, Lucia, you're going to be the first one this time, and have your microphone ready and start delivering your response now.
Okay, in the reading passage, we have seen a theory about altruism. So to support this theory, we heard an audio when the teacher says that altruism is not only a common behavior in some humans, because not all the humans has it, but it's very common in animals, not just because to preserve their species. And she gave us the first theory to prove that in squirrels, that she called attention of the predator to save the community. And second of all, that produces to ensure the genes and save all the community. That means that some squirrels get in danger to save others. So that proves that altruism is very common in animals.
Wonderful. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Lucia. Sergio, please, you're going to follow up with the responses round. So please have your microphone set up and start delivering your response now.
Okay. In the reading passage, we have immersed into the topic of altruism in animals, which refers to the urge to serve to help others. Likewise, in the listening passage, the reader delves deeper into this topic by providing some examples. She thinks altruism is common in animals like humans. The reader mentions that predators, for example, protect weaker members. And she goes on to say that these animals do a more safety place.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry, wonderful. Okay, wonderful. So let's go with some feedback. By the way, congratulations, dear students. I think that you have been performing very well until this point in all the speaking sections, and I think it is not the exception for this one, because with regard to this task, from what I can hear, I think that you are definitely very comfortable with speaking, and also that you adapt very well to the formats that I give you for all the tasks that we have seen until this point. So wonderful. Okay, very good, and congratulations on that. Now, Lucia, your response, I think, is as normally very good. For example, here I have a very little observation, and I know that you did this by accident, but there was a point in your response that you said, right? You were talking about altruism in humans, and you said something like, but not all humans have it, of course. And I agree. I mean, sometimes humans appear not to have altruism. They are not very much, well, conscious of other people, stuff like that, right? But nonetheless, remind that that was not mentioned, nor in the reading passage, nor in the listening item. So remind that you don't have to add anything external. I know that is your opinion. It's fine. And it's also my opinion. I agree with you. But remind that in this case, our opinion must never be mentioned because somehow you will be changing the information that you have received, right? Because in the entire article and in the entire listening item, what we have listened is that humans indeed have altruism, okay? So just have that reminder, okay? That is super dangerous to include anything external, okay? But very good. I know that you did it by accident.
Thank you. Yeah,
Okay?
thank you,
Yes.
thank you.
Wonderful. And yeah, and very well. But with regard to the structure, very good. Remember, for example, to be a little bit more. I mean, this is super tricky, but for example, in this case, I perceived that the summary of the reading passage was too general. I mean, I know it must be general. That's the reason why I say this is tricky, because I always tell you, right? Please make your summary general. But in this case, I felt it was too general because you, for example, remind that in the reading passage, the professor defined what altruism is, right? So it would have been incredible for you to mention what altruism was, even in super short words. But I think that you just went throughout the reading passage too general in this case. But of course, remind with that mentality. I like that because you know that you need to be super general. Yes, indeed, be it. In this case, I think it was too much just for a while, a little bit, but wonderful, wonderful response. Okay. Anyways, the rest was perfect. Okay. Thank you very much, Lucia. Sergio, in your case as well, very good response. I always like how you are comfortable with speaking about these topics, right? And I like, for example, the transition you made in the middle of your response. You said, right, in the listening item, the professor gives us some examples in order to go deeper into this matter, right? Very good. For example, you are not following the phrase that I mentioned in the structure, but as I told you, you are completely encouraged to include your own phrases, and I think that yours is wonderful. It's, you know, it feels very professional. It gives me that sensation that you are somebody who knows what you're talking about. So wonderful. Remain with that. Very good. Okay, Sergio. Let's continue. Let's go with another one. Okay, next. And let's go. Okay. I'm going to start again. Just give me a second here. Okay. Practice. I have to end this. Yes. And now custom practice. Speaking task number 3. Quiz mode. Answer and unanswer. And here we are. Okay, let's go. We are going to continue with this one on hypnotherapy. Okay, I think this is one that we have read previously on class, but nonetheless, it's not something that we have been responding to. So it's going to be helpful. Okay, so please enjoy your 30, well, in this case, it's 45 seconds of reading. Okay, let's go.
I think that you didn't send us to the chat.
Oh yeah, I
But
didn't.
no,
I thought that I
no,
did.
you just go. No,
Exactly, no.
All right.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I was
Now?
waiting. Yes, now it is.
I'm so sorry. Okay, wonderful. So please start again. Okay, I'm sorry. I just thought that I said that. Okay, wonderful. So please start reading now. Okay, there we are. Now, please, dear students, start listening with me to the lecture on hypnotherapy. Let's go.
Now listen to part of a lecture from a psychology class.
Hypnosis is controversial for several reasons. First, not everyone can actually be hypnotized. I mean to say, only certain types of people are able to fall completely under the power of a hypnotist's suggestions. But at the same time, a lot of patients are eager to please their therapists. So for this reason, patients might be likely to pretend to be hypnotized, when in reality, they're wildly improvising. That means hypnotherapy leads to false positives, times when patients exaggerate the effects. People make up memories, totally false information that they otherwise wouldn't have said, just so in order to make it seem like the hypnotism is working. And it gets worse. Sometimes hypnosis might create false psychological problems. For example, these days, a lot of people question whether split personality disorder, or as it's actually called, dissociative identity disorder, whether this disease in which people have multiple personalities, it's questioned whether this is a disease that is found in nature or whether psychiatrists themselves basically created the disorder. It's thought that when psychiatrists questioned patients suffering from trauma and used hypnosis, they sometimes bombarded them with leading questions. Then these questions basically implanted the idea of split personalities where it didn't even exist before. No one stopped to think that the hypnosis might only reinforce made-up behavior by giving patients an excuse, a scapegoat. Many times, for example, people claim to have been suffering from dissociative identity disorder to avoid being held liable in court for crimes allegedly committed by their other personalities.
Using the points and examples given in the lecture, explain why hypnotherapy has proven to be a controversial form of treatment.
Okay, there we are. Wonderful. So now please let us go to the preparation time. I think that 30 seconds is our desired time. Let's go please and start preparing our responses now. Okay, there you are. And now, please start. Well, in this case, I think it's Sergio. Yes, Sergio is going to be the one starting with this round. So please, Sergio, have your microphone ready and start delivering your response now.
Okay. In the reading passage, we have immersed into the topic of hypnotherapy. Which is the practice involves causing patients in a dreamlike. Likewise, in the listening passage, the reader delves deeper into this topic by providing some examples of hypnotherapy. First of all, the reader mentions that this practice is not for any type of person, because it may give false information about the problem of the person. She goes on to say that this can give false psychological problems.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Sergio. There we are. Lucia, it's your turn now. So please start responding to the question now.
Okay, with regard to this topic, we have listened that is very controversial because on the reading passage, we have seen that hypnotherapy has had the power to help people in a dreamlike state to open their communication in a state of deepest relaxation and to follow the orders of your therapist. But on the audio, we can hear that this might be a really fake because people can, first of all, people can create false positive memories or false healing for this thing. And second of all, the other theory is that maybe this can be used by don't go to jail or fake some mental issues.
There you are. Thank you very much, Lucia. Okay, so in this case, well, I have to admit the responses were perfect for me. Okay, Sergio delivered a wonderful summary of the reading passage, making it super order, structured, going towards the listening item very comfortably, smoothly. Then he finalized as well the summary very much effectively, and it was perfect. Okay, I just don't have any recommendation there. Just keep it up, Sergio. Wonderful. The same for you, Lucy. I think in this case, you write your instruction a little bit, you rewrite it. And even when you rewrite the structure, you still remain with the principal, let's say, foundations of our structure. It is to say, to offer a summary of the reading passage and to offer a summary of the listening item. And your response was excellent. Okay. So I like that type of innovation. Of course, always try to go for the safest option on the exam and try to always remain with a particular structure, okay? But of course, in your case, it's wonderful, okay? Very, very good, honestly, perfect. I don't have any recommendation, for example, in grammar or anything. It's just wonderful, okay? Let's go. We have more practices. The only thing that is going to help you to even perfect your responses a little bit more is going to be more practice, okay? Ironically. So let's go. Next. Here we are. Cultural impacts of climate change. This is going to be our new reading passage. Let me paste it now. I'm not going to forget it. Don't worry. There you are in the chat box. Okay. So please enjoy of this 45 seconds in order to read your passage. Okay. Let's go now. Okay, there we are. Now, please let us all listen to a lecture on cultural impacts of climate change. Right, let's go.
Now listen to part of a lecture from a class on ancient history.
Climate change hasn't always been seen as such a major factor on how we've progressed, how culture has developed. But more and more, we're finding that it does play a major role. Let's take the example of Egypt. The country today is harshly divided between the Sahara Desert, where basically nothing grows, and the area around the Nile River Valley, which is still one of the most fertile places on the whole planet. But the thing is, we're now discovering that the landscape of Egypt was not always divided in that way. Instead, until the 4th millennium BCE, the desert of Egypt was actually a rich, prosperous area of fields and farmable meadows. There were societies living away from the Nile, successfully farming or getting by in a place that would later be completely uninhabitable. But then, of course, the climate changed and the Sahara Desert formed. That meant people were forced to move to the Nile Valley to survive because there were no more fields to cultivate or animals to hunt. So, right, you can imagine their culture had to adapt as they moved to a new area, a new climate. But it doesn't stop there. The Nile Valley was already settled. So these newcomers fleeing the desert, they evidently fought the people already living in the valley. And we see that from the construction of these giant defensive walls for the first time in history. So, right, people joined together behind these walls and formed cities to protect themselves. This was a large interaction between communities, deeply affecting the local culture. The changing landscape was at the heart of that change.
Explain how the lecturer's claims give a concrete example of climate change's effect on culture.
Okay, there we are. So now we are going to start with the preparation time for this particular exercise. And please enjoy your 30 seconds of preparation, okay? Start preparing your responses now. Okay, there we are. So now please, Lucia, you're going to start, okay, with this round of responses. So please start delivering your response now.
Okay, in the reading passage, we have been seeing and reading about the cultural impact of the climate changes. So we have seen that this is not something that we know just from now. It's something that we've been going through all over the history, and is part of these changes of the productivity and the changes of the land, and the experts wanted to know and wanted to follow these repercussions through the history. In order to that, in the going behind in the history, Egypt not always was what we know. They have going through many changes of the land, and that affect the culture because they had to fight with other cultures to go to the productive lands that change with the weather. So the change was always there.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Lucia. Sergio, you're going to continue, okay, with the rounds of responses. So please have your microphone set up and start delivering your response now.
Okay. In the reading passage, we have immersed into the topic of cultural impacts of climate change, which is an old phenomenon that shows us variations in weather. Likewise, in the listening passage, the reader delves deeper into this topic by providing some examples of cultural impacts of climate change. First of all, the reader mentions that in some places the weather is harder, and because of that, nothing grows. In form. He goes on to say that people forced to move to survive. In this way, people stood together to face the problem of climate change.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sergio. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go with some feedback then. Okay, for you, Lucia, I enjoy, for example, and I want to congratulate you in this case for something. I like how you were very much capable of summarizing this topic, which was very long, because it contained a lot of information, right? In this case, it talked about Egyptians, different cultures, many people fighting against each other because they had to construct some sort of walls, defensive walls, right? To protect themselves of foreigners who wanted to conquer their land because it was productive, just as you mentioned. So I think that the way you summarize it with your own words, that made it very much understandable. And I think that is exactly the desire for any summary, right? That when you are able to express the same information of a very long text or content with simple words and to make it short, it's a wonderful summary. So I think that is present in your response here. Okay, so very good, very, very good. Sergio as well, you are more technical, and I like that as well because it gives to your response more, I don't know, more sense of professionality of the scholarship. And that is also something very much regarded by reviewers. So I think that your response as well is super solid, especially in how you manage the times and these transitions that you're including into your response. I think that make it to sound, as I say, very much professional. I don't know, make it sound scholarship, and that is wonderful. Okay, congratulations as well. So let's continue. I don't have observations as well in grammar or any other thing. Okay,
Yeah, it's
let's go.
something hard for me just say some things because like you said, they was I could talk about this team that also is something that I like for hours, not just
Mhm.
1 minute. So
Yes,
I'm doing my best to do it in just 1 minute.
wonderful. Yeah, but you are doing pretty well, as I say, Lucia. Okay, very, very good. Wonderful. Let's go. More practice. Okay, this is going to be about business principle negotiation. Negotiation, principle negotiation. Okay, so I'm going to make sure to paste it. There you have. Please enjoy your 45 seconds in order to completely read this article. Okay, please start reading now. Okay, we stop here and we continue moving on towards the lecture on the same topic.
Now, listen to a lecture on this topic in a business class.
You can see the effects of principled negotiation right at this university, actually. We have, a private company running our cafeteria, right? The university pays the company to buy food, hire employees, and serve meals to the students. When they drafted the contract outlining their expectations, the university and the food service company had to think about their future together and how they could keep students happy. Only if the students were satisfied would the relationship be able to continue smoothly. That was the common goal. So, at the company's request, the university agreed to fund training the cafeteria workers, precisely because they saw that training as being in the best interest of the students, even if the direct benefit was for the food service employees. And it was coming out of the university's pocket. And at the same time, the food service provider agreed to buy and serve only organic foods. Ingredients that cost more, but are healthier for student diners. If the food service had refused to buy those higher quality ingredients, it's more likely that students would have passed on meal plans. Or worse, requested the university find a different service. Obviously, the company'd want to avoid that. In the long run, these kinds of decisions were in line with everybody's goals. Especially you, the students.
Using the example of the university cafeteria, explain what is meant by principled negotiation.
Okay, there we are. Now we're going to move on to the 30 seconds of preparation. Okay, so please start preparing your responses now. There you are. Now, please, Sergio, you're going to be the one starting this round, okay? So please have your microphone enabled and start responding to the question now.
Okay. In the reading passage, we have immersed into the topic of principal negotiation, which is a model business negotiate toward the common goal between several companies. Likewise, in the listening passage, the reader delves deeper into this topic by providing some examples of principal negotiation. First of all, the reader mentions for example, a university pays of service for the cafeteria, and that are the students more happy to continue in their studies.
There you are. Thank you very much, Lucia. Please, it's going to be your turn. Start responding now.
Okay, in the reading passage, we have learned a little bit of how negotiation works. And for that, they give us an example in the reading passage, like the football team or like a sports team. But in this case of negotiation, it doesn't work like for teams. Instead of that, every part of the negotiators have a common goal. For learn about that, in the reading audio, we have heard an example of how the university and the company of food get work to a common goal that is win money, and how they gonna do it to by making happy to the students by providing the best food and everything, and that's the common goal for both of them.
Wonderful. Perfect, Lucia. Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. Now I have to recognize, I think you're just improving every single time. So, for example, I recommend you that you need to always follow up with this path in the sense of when you find a structure that suits you very well, when you find a structure that you feel comfortable with, when you found a structure that allows you to go smoothly towards the content you receive, stick with that particular structure during the whole practice, because on the day of the exam, maybe if you improvise your responses and you change the patterns in your response, that is going to affect you negatively. Why? Because remind, a lot of pressure, anxiety, and nerves are going to be on you that day. So maybe at that time, you're not going to be that, of course, relaxed as you are right now. So that is the reason why I tell you, repetition is going to be the key for you, okay? So that is my recommendation for both of you. Find this structure, perfect it every single time. The one that you're using, okay? Right now, not necessarily mine. The one that you're using is perfect. But stick to it. Never respond differently. Follow the structure again and again and again and again. Maybe it's going to be boring at some point, or you're going to get bored of it. But the point is, repetition is going to allow perfection in this case, in constancy. And remember that we are looking for constancy here, because constancy is going to allow us to respond well here and to respond well in the exam, which is, of course, what we finally want, all right? So my recommendation is, as I say, find the structure that I think you have found it very well. You know how to respond. You have some phrases at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. You know how to measure time, so stick to it. Don't change it, okay? Don't let it vary, because if you let it vary in the future, that is going to be for your disadvantage, all right? So please, that will be my only recommendation for both of you. But with regard to the response, perfect. Okay, let's go with another one. Here. Okay, here we are. Okay, pictographs. Please have your 4 or 5 seconds to read now. Okay, our time is over. Now, please let us listen to our lecture on pictographs.
Now listen to a lecture in an art history class.
You might be surprised at how close the link between those ancient symbols and our current writing systems actually is. Let me show you some really neat examples from the Roman alphabet to illustrate. Take the letter A. It looks kind of like a triangle with two sticks underneath it, right? Well, those sticks used to actually be horns on a drawing of a bull. A started out as an ancient Egyptian pictograph of a bull's head. This naturally stood for the word bull or a similar creature, but over generations, the eyes and other details on the bull's head disappeared, until the head just looked like a triangle, and the horns just looked like sticks. Voila. The next example is a bit more distorted, but the letter E has a very similar story. This one started out as a stick figure, an image of a person praying. A line down the middle represented the legs, body, and head, and then two arms extended out on either side. But over time, the symbol was rotated. A rotation like that is pretty common historically, and a part of the image was lost. Now, the three horizontal strokes of the E, those are what's left of the two arms and the head of that person in prayer.
Using examples from the talk, explain how pictographs changed to become modern writing.
There we are. Okay, let's move on to the preparation time then. Let's start, not responding, in this case is preparing your responses for the exercise now. There you are. Now, please, dear students, in this case, Lucia started last time, right? So Sergio, you're going to be the first one for this particular exercise and round. So please, I encourage you to have your microphone on and start delivering your response now.
Okay. In the reading passage, we have immersed into the topic of pictographs, which are pictures that represent a word or idea. Likewise, the listening passage, the reader delves deeper into this topic by putting some examples of pictographs. First of all, the reader mentions that there is a lot of similarity between pictographs and the current alphabet. She goes on to say that pictographs used to represent parts of the body in these pictures.
Okay, thank you very much, Sergio. Thank you very much. Lucia, you're going to continue, okay, with the exercise. Start responding now.
Okay, in the reading passage, we have immersed on the pictograms point. So for this, we have seen that this type of communication comes from the first communities from around the world. In the middle of China, in every part of the world used to put objects to represent things, and these become of the language that we know now. Like a simple circle with eyes become a letter. A simple square with arms open use the rotation to become another letter, and all of these symbols that they have invented become our language that we know and the alphabet that you use to the writing system.
Okay, thank you very much. Right? It was actually very good. It was actually very good. Okay. Yeah, I think that I have no commentaries as well for this one. Let's go with a last one, okay, for us to finish this class. And I want you to put all your efforts into this one, okay? Let's try to make it perfect. Okay. We start with this one. Okay, here you have. Wonderful. Please start reading this passage now. There we are. Please let us listen now to this audio.
Now listen to part of a lecture in a class focusing on the history of modern art.
Now, scholars sometimes like to say that in the 20th century, art based on Greco-Roman ideals of beauty and physical perfection fell totally out of favor thanks to the work of pioneering critics like Roger Fry. But today, I'm going to argue that this is actually an oversimplification. Now, paintings in the 20th century certainly became more abstract than at any other time in history. But in some ways, this had nothing to do with the work of professional critics, like Roger Fry. I mean, I think it can be convincingly argued that the change in style was simply due to the invention of the camera. See, it was no longer necessary to turn to professional portrait painters to have one's picture taken. And for this reason, there was a gradual decrease in the number of students who went to painting school. It was simply no longer important to spend years mastering technical painting. And instead, it became possible to produce highly abstract works meant to express, well, ideas. However, many of these ideas still had to do with the age-old Greco-Roman ideals. For example, Manet's painting, Luncheon on the Grass, which is sometimes called the first modern painting, it actually used images originally copied from an ancient Roman coffin. Pablo Picasso, a great abstract artist, also created several paintings reacting to Greek mythology. And, well, to this day, advertisers and filmmakers often turn to Greco-Roman notions of beauty in order to entice audiences. In fact, many modern artists have reacted to too much abstraction in modern art and are returning to classical Greek and Roman themes in their work. So, the Greco-Roman tradition in art is far from dead.
Using the points and examples from the lecture.
Okay, wonderful. Let us then go to the preparation time. As we normally have, 30 seconds of preparation is going to be everything for you to design your responses. So please start responding. Oh, not responding. I don't know why I always say that, but please start preparing your responses for this round now. There you are. Lucia, you're going to be the one starting with this round. Please start delivering your response now.
Okay, in the reading passage, we have been immersed on the painting about on the Greco-Roman's influence on history. That begins on the 19th century when they're starting doing their first uh, works of art. Otherwise, on the audio passage, we have heard that paintings are being used this inspiration even now, and this historical art innovation has far from that, because even with the apparition of the camera and the abstract of art, even Pablo Picasso used the inspiration of the Greco-Roman beauty stand.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much, Lucia. Sergio, you're going to be the one starting with this, well, not starting, you're going to be the second one, actually, right? So please start delivering your response now. Sergio, are you there? Let us start again. I think that you had your microphone off. Let us start again, nonetheless, okay? So please start delivering your response now.
Okay, sorry. In the reading passage, we have immersed into the topic of Greco-Roman ideals, which is a type of art that represents beauty. Likewise, in the listening passage, the reader delves deeper into this topic by providing some examples of Greco-Roman ideals. First of all, the reader mentions that the meaning of beauty can be abstract. She goes on to say that paintings can be replaced by a photograph because it's so difficult to study many years for learning to paint.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Sergio. Thank you very much, Lucia, as well. Well, I have to recognize that this was a very, very long exercise in the sense that the listening item lasted for, I think, more than 2 minutes, which is rare in the exam. But nonetheless, I think that this helps you to understand that whenever you find, for example, a material that has a lot of information, data, so that it's impossible for you to include all that within your 60 seconds, you need to choose what information to include and what information to dispense with in your response. I tell you, always include the main points. Although the professor mentioned in this case a lot of details, remind your idea or your objective in this case is to mention what? The main points of the lecture, all right? So by doing so, your summary is still going to be complete because those additional details are simply impossible to be included in this particular response, given the quantity of time that ETS gives us. Nonetheless, they understand that, and they are not going to punish you nor negatively affect you. So my recommendation is still, go for the good ones, go for the main points. They are not going to negatively affect you because you are choosing what is right. That is to say, to include the main points which constitute the actual summary of any document or material you are trying to make a summary about. Okay, so very good. We're going to start, or we're going to stop here in this case. All right. Any questions, your students? Anything that I can help you with?
I think that everything's clear, but yeah, with this I was like, what I'm going to say. That everything is important. Even my notes are large, but I
Yes,
think that in this class we have improved a lot, and we have been
certainly.
practicing.
Yeah,
This is the most important for speaking, practicing.
yeah, certainly. It is the most important part. And as you said, you have improved a lot. And although your responses were very good right from the beginning, allow me to say, now I think that they are even better. Okay, so congratulations, you are improving very much, very, very much. Okay, so I'm gonna take your assistance, and please, you help me with the traditional poll that we always feel. That help feeling positively. You always help me. you know, right? So let's go and please, I'm gonna launch it, and I'm going to call out your names. Okay, so please, Daza, Lucia, Gabriela.
Present.
Thank you very much, Lucia. And finally, Heredia Sergio Andres.
Present.
Thank you very much, Sergio. There we are. There we are. There we are. Okay. Ezequiel and the others were not able to join us today, but they can see, of course, and rewatch the class whenever they want. Wonderful. So thank you very much, dear students, for your presence. I think that we have improved a lot, as Lucia said. And well, I see you next week with a lot of classes and new material, new subjects. So please have a wonderful weekend, okay?
Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. And I'm going to be.
Yeah. The personal goals. Don't worry. Don't worry.
Good night.
We'll get you covered. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Bye-bye.
Bye, Sergio.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.